It's open season this time at the San Francisco 49ers, with whole lineups in for a reshuffle. Meanwhile, relationships suffered too, and a major battle line has been drawn out between Garoppolo and the 49ers. That won't be a concern anymore though, since Jimmy's unlikely to be at San Fran. The former starter for the team may have to start looking for a job elsewhere. Things have gotten so bad between him and his former team, it's unlikely he'll be offered a position anytime soon, at least for 2023. Head coach Kyle made it clear Jimmy wouldn't be quarterbacking the team, much less leading it. This marks a major change in team policy. Earlier, it wouldn't have been such a hard no. In fact, the 49ers have had a bit of an open door policy with comings and goings, but never such a drastic, hardline stance. Maybe this is the start of a new era, one where rules are set and rigidly followed without room for errors. You might even say Jimmy's leaving the team for good, in a good position for it to face the future. Perhaps San Francisco's finally prepared to put its past behind it. Unfortunately, it means shutting the door on a key part of their legacy. The quarterback had been a part of the team for better or for worse, but most recently for worse, for over 6 seasons now. His exit might seem blunt, even a bit rude, but it follows a spell of disappointing team losses and player injuries. Still, Shanahan's one-liner made it pretty clear. It's no to Jimmy and to the 49ers as we knew it last season. In the past few weeks, the team and its former starter managed to somehow turn a rough patch into a full-blown swamp pit. There's no doubt then that things would have turned sour if given the chance. Luckily, perhaps, the tenure's over, and with it, any hopes for a reconciliation. The writing was on the wall, though.
Jersey in the background, both of them. Those are 2 good ones you got there, man. But yeah, you asked if I had any advice.
Or on the scorecard in this case. After the 49ers' championship game loss in Philadelphia, like any loss, it came with a set of nerves and tense exchanges that might have been forgotten. But Garoppolo's absence from the team couldn't go unnoticed, nor did his foot injury and delayed recovery, which has been a thorn in the 49ers side for a while now. But after the team's loss to the Eagles, the old wound may have flared up again. Plus, the quarterback's been blamed online on social media for his part in the loss. That's not entirely fair, nor is it backed by any official statements or evidence. However, it does tell you about the level of trust, faith, and belief, perhaps misguided, that San Francisco placed in their quarterback. After all, the team had backed this trust up with a roster spot for the quarterback. Even after he was injured, they decided not to place him on injured reserve for the NFC Championship game. So it's clear that sentiments were hurt on both sides, particularly after the 31-year-old couldn't or wouldn't get back for the NFC Championship.
Power, what would I want to, what would it be? And mine would definitely be to fly.
Too much of a good thing is not good, I guess. Similarly, the 49ers' desperate faith in Jimmy proved to be a bit too much. Things might have returned to normal in due time had the pressure to perform not been laid on too thick by San Francisco. Their quarterback was already in injury mode. Plus, San Francisco's had good defensive players, like tackle Hassan Ridgeway. Deciding to save the roster spot instead for Jimmy was a sweet move, but eventually soured. In this sweet and sour relationship, the championship game was just the light that lit the fuse. The desperate attempts to keep Jimmy on the field came instead from the injury bug going around the team. From their third-year quarterback Lance to second-year Purdy, the whole lineup on hiatus for now. While Lance is still recovering from an ankle injury that saw him out of action for the rest of his season, Purdy too is currently considering surgery for his throwing elbow. The prognosis doesn't look too positive for the team's future, but in the middle of this recovery, the team has decided to swallow a bitter pill and let Jimmy go for good. This just might be the cure they need to get into a winning mindset again. When one player on a team goes down, he takes the rest of the lot with him. This isn't intentional or anything, it's just natural. You feel happy when the team's upbeat and sulk around when the mood's sour. With the latest round of changes over at San Francisco, and after finally giving a direct answer about Jimmy's future with the team, it seems like they player ready to face up to the future. It won't be a smooth path to recovery, of course, but being mentally prepared and letting go of old wounds means the team can finally heal its lineup, and with it, its chances of clinching the conference title next season. Plus, the team may have grown dependent on their starting quarterback. Again, too much of a good thing, you know the drill. Garoppolo's certainly given the team plenty of good wins. In his 6 seasons at San Francisco, the Arlington native had been at the front line for massive wins and a potential bailout of his team by filling in this season too. He continued to give the team his all, paying back its trust by going full thrust with his game, going so far as to give his best season. But all things come at a cost, and in this case, it was Jimmy's foot that took the fall for making up for Lance's ankle injury. Talk about double jeopardy. After losing Lance in week 2 for the rest of the season, Jimmy G held the fort the best he could, right up until his own injury in week 13, after his career-making 5+ season tenure with San Francisco, and giving an incredible 38-17 record as a starter. He proved he was all in it for the 49ers faithful. No matter how it ends, I'll remember him as the 49ers knight in shining armor. He took over when they needed him the most, and the veterans agree with this assessment. Joe Montana himself says he'd play Jimmy for at least another year. The legend's seen a lot of shuffle-ups and tense situations in his heyday. To him, the starter's in it for the long game. Looking past his recent injuries would do not just him, but the entire team plenty of good. Just before his injury, he was on a career-high spree, with a 7-3 record as a starter, which more than paid back for his absence in the later games. While the team did lose to the Eagles later on, it was their former starter who led them to the NFC Championship game itself. The Pro Football Hall of Famer also stressed Jimmy's track record as a tried and tested player who wins games. Not just win them, but absolutely dominate them, with 16 touchdown passes, 2,437 passing yards, and 4 interceptions in 11 games alone. Plus, the 49ers really need to use some wins right about now. With what seems like a chapter closed on Jimmy Garoppolo, it's now down to Lance and Purdy to bring back the glory to San Francisco, especially after their 31-7 NFC Championship loss to Philadelphia. It does seem as if Trey Area could be their silver lining out of this situation. The rookie quarterback could use more time on the ground. Coupled with Brock Purdy, the two make a decisive and competitive matchup that might make up for a pretty big loss with Jimmy. As for their veteran starter, he's on his way to unrestricted free agency, and according to 49ers receiver Samuel, might end up at Colts. Whether this is the best decision for both the team and its former player remains to be seen next season. See you in the next one.